With Reginald being collected by Hercules and taken away to New Wessex, Mr. Starr could finally set his focus back on the Eastwood branch. The volunteers and engines worked day and night, and it wasn't long before the final tests were completed, and the first services began running again. Though it wasn't as crowded as it used to be, the engines were happy to finally begin working services again. However, it wasn't long before time caught up with Mr. Starr, and he would have to return to his duties once more. When he arrived at Redwick on his first day back, he was immediately intercepted by Mr. Knox, Mr. Dickinson, and the rest of the board of directors, and taken into the main office where he was brought up to date on the current affairs of the railway. He was also informed that while he would get his position as manager back, he would also be sharing the role with Mr. Knox to avoid any further incidents, much to the dismay of both of the managers. As the board dispersed and Mr. Starr went to get reacquainted with the railway, Mr. Knox pulled Mr. Dickinson aside. "I don't see why we have to go through with all this faff. Why not just fire him?"
"You already know why. Your performance has been less than ideal, to say the least. Passenger numbers are down, freight traffic is struggling thanks to a lack of motive power, and you aren't exactly doing a good job of making yourself liked by the public."
"You've seen the numbers. Freight is bringing in more money than ever. And as for passengers and public relations, who cares? The whole reason we stepped in was to close this line to focus solely on the construction site."
Yes, your little construction site. It had so much potential. You even got the entire board behind you. But yet your hubris turned it into another failure.
"What? Failure? We haven't even begun mining ore yet."
And we never will. The board has decided to reduce what resources we invest into a line that is already doing so poorly thanks to your little spending spree, to try and salvage what little reputation was left for the line after you helped to destroy it. That includes your little project up to that abandoned slum that you strung us along for.
But the board promised me I would have what I wanted. You promised me.
I promised you a position of power so long as you proved you could be worthy of one. After your little stunt last year that managed to fail in ridding us of that nuisance Starr, it is abundantly clear that you failed that task. In fact, you are lucky we even put you in charge of this pitiful branch line.
But what about the closure of the line? Our plans?
The plans have changed, whether you like it or not. Had you not twisted the hand of fate and followed my plan, your precious site may have still been a priority. Your actions have consequences. One would think that you had learned after your blunder in 51.
I
urge you to be on your best behavior, Glenn Knox, for you have a lot of work to do if you wish to keep your current position. Good day to you.
Threaten my position, will you? I'll show you. Meanwhile, at the sheds.
"I told you, I don't know where he is, and even if I did, if he wants to be left alone, he should be allowed to."
"And I'm not disputing that, Hardwick. I'm just worried about him. He's been away for almost a year now, and I'm worried about his reaction to all the changes if he does come back."
"I know, Ramsay, but you need to have faith in him. He'll be back when he's ready. I know he will."
The coward ran away. That shows just what kind of engine he is.
"Shut the fuck up, who asked you?"
I don't give a damn if you asked me or not. I will say my opinion if I want to.
And that is exactly why we don't like you.
"Your opinion is noted and will be duly ignored. No one cares about you, you snivelling piece of shit."
typical rudeness to be expected from a new Wessex engine. I always said you and that Hercules were trouble.
Alright, Hart, that's enough. This is no way to treat guests, especially ones that have been long-time friends.
It's fine, Levi. I'm heading out anyways. Wouldn't want to outstay my welcome in Hart's little safe space.
Where to? You have a train to pull in a few hours.
A place called Mind Your Own Business to meet none of your concern.
So long as you don't take any more engines that don't belong with you on the way.
Go eat a vac pipe, Hart.
What's your damage, Hart? Those guys have never done anything to you.
They are rude and as suspicious as the rest of you loyalist engines. I do not trust them one bit.
If you actually gave them a chance, you may actually get on with them.
It does not matter in the end. He is gone now, and that Hercules won't be here till tomorrow. The day has finally taken a turn for the better.
Hey, guys.
I spoke too soon.
Mr. Stard, what are you doing here?
Nice to see you too, Ramsay.
Well, yes, but why are you here? I thought, well...
I have been reinstated as manager of the line as of today. I'll be...
How could they let that happen? You were convicted of murder, for goodness sake. You have no place on this railway. It has moved on from you and your family.
Nice to see you too, Hart. And thank you for your kind words. Now, if you would let me finish... Mr. Knox and I will be sharing the work together as equals. Anything I wish to do will not happen unless it's cleared with him, and anything he wishes to do won't happen unless it's cleared with me. Anything that can't be agreed on will go through Mr. Dickinson.
So, you're not in charge?
I am, but I'm not.
That's a relief.
I'm sure it is, Hart. You will still have to take my orders, though. And I believe you have a local in 10 minutes. Chop chop.
Your attitude hasn't changed one bit.
Well then, now that he's gone, I would like to say sorry to all of you. I know these past few months have been a lot for many of you. I'm not seeking forgiveness from any of you. I know I have a lot to make up for, regardless of what your views are on me. I hope you will all allow me the chance to show you that I'm not what the media has made me out to be. I thought as much. I'll get out of your guys' way for now. Just one thing. Thor? What? Do you know where your brother is? I need to talk to him. No, I do not. I see. Very well.
Mr. Stard?
Yes, Ramsay?
It's good to see you again, sir.
Thank you, Ramsay. Now get back to work. The railway isn't going to run itself, you know.
Of course.
Mr. Stard made his way back to the station to go get caught up on some paperwork. He still felt a bit awkward walking down the platforms with all the people staring at him, but it was only made worse as he was intercepted by Mr. Knox. And where are you off to, Stard? I'm going to the office to catch up on some paperwork. Is that illegal now? No, but you ought to be careful, Stard. People will think you are up to something. Uh-huh. And why would they think that? Well, given your history, I would hardly put it past you. Cool story. Now, will you let me pass? Or did you have something you wanted to say? Well, I could let you pass. Or you could always do your job and come with me to meet our new engines. New engines? We're getting new engines? Well, yes. With us being 4 engines down at the moment, It was only a matter of time before I put in a request for some replacements. 4 engines. Yes, the 2 you got killed, your failed Pacific and 4211. I assume you already knew about 8023, seeing as it has been removed from the works without my consent? I did know, but only because Lord Dexby told me, and seeing as my assets were in his name till I returned, he was well within his rights to do as such. I see. So, what about Russell? What the hell happened to him? You are referring to 4211, yes? He was experiencing some steaming troubles, so I sent him to Swindon for repairs. They decided to carry out his overhaul while he was there. He was due for it soon regardless. That makes sense. So, when did the newcomers arrive? Any minute now with a freight from Hinksey. 7227 usually handles it, but with 3 engines it should be manageable. After you then, Knox. The 2 men walked over to the yard, and sure enough, a trio of engines appeared from the triangle, working hard with their long rake of wagons. They came to a stop just in front of the 2 managers, with Mr. Stard regarding the 3 newcomers. A pannier, a large prairie, and a standard 4MT. Ah, slightly ahead of schedule. Good. Keep it that way and we will get along just fine. 6140, you will be taking the local passenger services, the first of which is due out in 25 minutes. 885, you will take care of the local goods, which are due out from Ended Industrial in 40 minutes. As for you, 7734, you will be stationed at Colford as the station's shunter and banker. You will take the empties on track 3 with you down. That is all. Right, now that you all know what to do, welcome to the Redwick and Chiltern Hills. My name is Bradford Aaron Stard, but you can call me Mr. Stard. I, along with Mr. Knox, the man who just gave you your jobs, will be your managers going forward. What are you all called, and where did you come from?
The name's Hannes, sir. I used to work at Old Oak, but I got called away here to help. It's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
I'm Eric, still relatively new. Nice to meet you.
Ivan, not one for small talk, so let me get to my work, please, and thank you.
I see. Very well then. Hannes, Eric, and Ivan, I look forward to seeing your performance over the next coming weeks. Please do let me know if there's anything I can help you with. I am around most of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Understood.
Are we done here?
Yes we are. And again, welcome to the Redwick and Chiltern Hills. Mr. Stard watched as the engines dispersed to get on with their separate work. Hannes immediately got turned around, grabbed his empties, and headed down towards Colford to begin his duties. Eric followed shortly after, refueling alongside Ivan before running light engine towards the industrial estate. Finally, after Grover had brought his rake of coaches into the platform, Ivan set out on his first of many passenger runs down the branch. The day wore on, and the 3 newcomers settled into their work beautifully. Hannes quickly acquainted himself with the other engines on the railway. Though at first, he was mistaken for Riley by some of the others. He quickly established himself as his own engine, with his outgoing and cheerful personality. Eric and Ivan mostly kept to themselves while doing their work throughout the day, working their jobs with no issues or delays. Though Eric would engage in some small conversation throughout the day, Ivan did not speak so much as a word to anyone as the day went on. Some of the engines were taken aback by his antisocial behavior, but decided to not press the issue, fearing another Buck situation. Whilst most of the engines were gathering their first impressions of the newcomers, one remained far away from all of it. Anthony Manor was sitting alone in the back of his shed at Culford, lost, as he usually was these days, in his thoughts. Not bad, Anthony. No issues at all today. They actually made you a proper engine at last. And to think I was almost ready to turn you into my personal sauna.
Excuse me, do you mind if I stop in for a bit? I'm not intruding, am I?
Not at all.
Ta.
You're the new engine, aren't you? I don't think I've seen you around yet.
I am. Only got here a few hours ago.
How are you finding it?
Not great so far, to be honest.
How do you mean?
I don't know. It's just the way everyone seems to think I'm wrong on the summit. They all seem to give me these funny looks, and none of them want to talk to me when I say hello. I even went to big sheds earlier, and this big express one told me to clear off. I don't even know what I'm supposed to have done.
It's always the same thing. Anytime someone comes in here who's different, they get like this. They get it from the manager. He loves taking his snide little shots at us.
Us?
Trust me, I know how you feel. I wasn't normal to them when I first came here either, and I got the same. You just have to bunker down and get on with it. Most of them are a bunch of raving lunatics anyway, and as for Richard, he's just a prat. Stay away from him if you can.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks. Sorry, I don't think we've actually introduced ourselves, have we? My name's Gregory. You are?
Well, it's good to meet you, Gregory. My name's...
Anthony!
So, you're back then?
Yes, Anthony, I am. And I think it's time we had a little chat, don't you? Anthony said nothing. He simply glared at Mr. Start. You know, I should have known something was off from the moment you came to find me. How many years have you been here, and not once have you ever come to speak to me? There I was, taken in by all your pleas to help us. And then even when the others were telling me you couldn't be trusted, I stood there believing every word you said. I defended you, I trusted you, and I believed in you. So why? Why did you do it? I'm sorry, do you think this is funny, Anthony? Because from where I'm standing, none of this is funny at all. People have died. 2 of my engines, your colleagues, have been lost. And from what I've heard, that's all down to the information you were feeding them. And you're sitting here and laughing about it? What the hell is wrong with you?
Oh, you sad, deluded little man.
Excuse me?
Listen to yourself. You're seriously standing there pretending that all of this is just because of me. You seriously want to pretend you give a damn about anyone involved in that crash?
Well, of course I...
Tell me, Stard, why exactly did that crash happen again? Why exactly did that filth Darius go out to do what he did? Because you ordered him to.
I did no such thing, and you know it.
You said you wanted Hart Hall off the railway by any means necessary. You made it quite clear that you didn't give a damn how it was done as long as he was gone. You gave him the green light to do it, and let's be honest, you'd have been celebrating like New Year's if it had gone as planned. You didn't care that an engine and his crew might be dead so long as you got your way. And you seriously expect me to believe that it's any different now?
Anthony, do you not see the difference between wanting someone off of my railway and wanting them dead? How can you even say that I don't care? Innocent people and an innocent engine are dead. What kind of person do you think I am?
Oh, stop it. Stop pretending that you gave a single solitary fuck about Gregory. You said it yourself to your band of brainwashed goons. You were perfectly happy to see him, Hart, and all the other idiots sucking up to Nox sent to the scrap heap before this happened. You had it out for him from the moment he came here, all because of what he was. Because he dared to be a product to the people you wanted to play revolutionary against, you set him up to be an outcast, and you did everything to make sure he was a failure and that he'd be ridiculed. Because that's what you do, Stard. If someone dares interrupt your happy little paradise through no fault of their own, you make sure they're not welcome, and screw anyone else who gets in your way of making that happen.
Mr. Stard stood frozen, almost lost for words. Anthony, surely you realize I wasn't being serious about any of that. Whatever I said about Gregory, I never actually wanted harm to come to him.
Is that why you set him up to derail? Is that why you told your goons to make a laughingstock of him at the estate? No, you wanted him to suffer just as you did to me. So don't you dare pretend otherwise.
As I did to you? What the fuck have I ever done to you?
Don't play stupid with me! When I first came here, you knew the problems I had. You knew the support I needed because I wasn't built right and struggled. And what did you give me? Nothing but the same verbal lashings and vicious little threats you gave to him and everyone else who has the misfortune to live under your rule. You think I see this as one big joke? What about you? Every time you ranted about how useless I was because I couldn't steam right. Every time you said you were going to turn me into some stupid little trinket for your own pleasure. Did you ever stop to consider maybe you were the one going a bit too far? Did you ever stop to consider how that made me feel? No, because it's all a big laugh to you. Nothing matters to you except for your own little kicks, and you've never changed. If anything, with what's happened since, you've gotten worse. Do you honestly want to know why I went along with this? Why I was determined to make sure you didn't succeed? Because I've seen the real you. I've seen the vermin that you truly are, and the future this place would have if you had your way. British Railways may be monsters, but even they're a damn sight better than a railway solely under your thumb. Do you see now, Stard? I hate you!
Anthony,
Sir,
now is not a good time.
there has been an accident on your branch line, sir. One of your engines is off the rails.
What? Who? What happened?
There's no time to explain, sir. They said they needed you there ASAP.
Mr. Stard looked from the workman and back to Anthony, who glared at him with rageful eyes. He knew that if he walked away from this now, things could never be made right. All right, explain on the way to my car. Though he was still a bit shocked after Anthony's outburst, Mr. Stard tried to keep his calm as he hurriedly made his way towards High Plains. When he arrived, he bolted up the platform where Virgil was waiting for him, with a worried expression on his smoke box. Virgil! Sir! Oh, thank goodness you're here! What the hell happened? I was told it was an accident. There was. I don't know all the details, but Seb was supposed to pass with a goods service 40 minutes ago. When he didn't arrive, the signalman at Halt went to look for him. Apparently he came off just outside the tunnel, though he didn't go into the water, thankfully. Oh, thank fuck for that. Okay, can you please take me there? I need to make sure he's okay. Yes, sir. Seb, are you alright?
You know, it's strange. I'm usually the one putting other engines in this situation, not the other way around.
Well, at least your sense of humor isn't broken. What about the rest of you?
Yeah, doing alright. Crew's a bit knocked around, but they'll live.
I'm glad to hear it. So what the hell happened?
Okay, I was minding my own business.
Bullshit!
I was! One minute I was coasting down through the tunnel, and the next my driver began shouting and slammed on my brakes. I don't have enough time to stop. But I think I hit a sleeper or something.
A sleeper?
Yeah, you know, big square wooden thing keeping the rails together.
I know what a sleeper is! Do you know where it went?
No clue. I was busy getting face deep in ballast, which reminds me that I don't really have a face. And now I'm stuck wondering what kind of drug you're on, still talking to me.
Valid point. Guess we'd better get looking for it then. Some of the men joined Mr. Starrd in a search for the supposed sleeper, while the others, alongside a reluctant Rab, focused on clearing up the crash. Temporary rails were laid under Seb as Rab pulled him carefully but firmly back onto the rails and up to Spear to be looked over for any damage. It didn't take long for Starrd and his group to locate one half of the sleeper that had flown into the vegetation. Mr. Starrd and the men could not figure out how it could have ended up there. Trains had ran perfectly fine all day, and there had been no permanent way work planned for the day that could explain a forgotten sleeper. While Mr. Starrd was dealing with his emergency on the branch, Eric was taking a rest between his trains. He had mostly kept to himself all day, with the odd interaction with his new colleagues introducing themselves to him. He had rested by himself for a few minutes when the sound of an engine broke through the silence. Eric looked up to see a large blue tender engine gracefully coast into the center shed road. The engine, whose name was King Richard, eyed him up expectantly, but Eric was not in the mood to talk. Well, are you not going to say anything?
Not really.
You know, it's a common courtesy to ask a grand express locomotive like myself their name.
King Richard, I can read, you know.
Well, pardon me for trying to be kind. Oh well, I'd hoped you would last longer than our other standard we had here. But with that attitude, I worry that may not be the case.
You're not going to shut up, are you? Fine. Why? What happened to the last standard that was here?
See, that wasn't so hard now, was it?
Bite me.
I'd rather not.
Get on with it.
As you wish. Surely you must have noticed the large memorial outside the town of Endon?
The large cross? What of it?
It was erected after a major accident almost a year ago now. Gregory, our Standard 5, derailed hauling the morning service to Manifel. Few survived the initial crash, and many drowned or burned soon thereafter.
Jesus. You sure know how to pick an ice-breaking topic. What happened to the engine?
He hit a shallow rock in the river. He stood no chance.
How could something like that happen? Poor infrastructure? Reckless driving? Poor maintenance?
Worse, my dear engine. Sabotage.
What? Sabotage?
Indeed. A crew in their locomotive, 4357, sabotaged the track work. It was a planned attack meant to paint British railways in a horrible and untrue light. There are those on this railway who do not agree with their way of running things around here. Unfortunately, they use extremist tactics and sabotage to try and get their way. But they took it one step too far when they killed all those people, and they paid the price.
This is all very serious stuff. What happened to the people behind this?
The crew directly involved in the incident were hanged for their crimes, and the engine responsible was cut up not long after. Unfortunately, the mastermind behind it all still walks free.
How?
Lack of evidence, so they say. But I fear there is more at play than just that. Starrd should never have been able to walk out of that courtroom.
Wait, Starrd? Surely you don't mean...
I do. The man they put back in charge alongside Mr. Knox is the very same man who orchestrated it all. His return is a worry to all of us who know what he's capable of. Who knows what he may be up to next? There are those of us who are making a stand against this man, fighting to make sure he will not be able to pull off any more of his life-threatening schemes. I do wish I could tell you more, but London awaits. I do hope you see the danger we face, and that we can count on you in the future. Eric stayed silent as he watched the large engine make his way out of the shed. He had not expected much when he had first arrived on the railway this morning, but it seemed things around here were not as peaceful as they were first claimed to be. As the evening arrived and the sheds filled up, he was still deep in thought about the things Richard had told him, quietly sizing up all the other engines to try and work out who could be siding with who. By the time he was due out with his last train of the day, his mind was made up.